welcome to Leichhardt Oval in Sydney for this group final of the Commonwealth Bank Cup for 1987. The two opponents tonight, James Cook High and Benilde High. The James Cook side about to kick off in their traditional colours of white with the maroon trim, and it will be Benilde High to defend the northern end of Leichhardt Oval. The man to get it underway is referee Cole Jones blows the whistle as the centre three-quarter Ian Heron, and immediately a mistake by the Benilde wing three-quarter Richard K. Roos. And again, straight away, we see the James Cook side right on attack, camped well inside Benilde's 22-yard line. So the halfback, Greg McKillop, to work the scrum for James Cook High. Successful so far in 3 matches in the Commonwealth Bank Cup to earn a place in this Cup group final. McKillop, there's the wraparound. Good skill by the little halfback for James Cook, running around his 5'8" Mark New. And now we see Dallas Chapman go into dummy half. Don Chevsky, the prop forward, only 5 metres out now from Benilde's line. Wilson. Williams, in fact, the man in number 15. Chapman, head down, only 2 or 3 metres out from the Benilde lines. James Cook right on the attack in the opening minutes of this match. There's the little kick through from New. And the referee has allowed play to go on. So they're still on the attack. Peeling away is the front row forward, Spiro Dukas. Chapman again a dummy half. Williams, Donchevsky. But Benilde's defence is held solid in the opening minutes of this first half. Chapman again for McKillop. He's claimed again about 5 metres out from the line. Chapman up to New. He's a player with great skill. Heron got the pass away, and finally pressure relieved in the opening minutes as Benilde come back with possession of the ball through their winger Richard K. Roos.
Well, that was the breather that Benilde needed. They were under all sorts of pressure. They dropped the ball from the kick-off. James Cook held it for 12 tackles. Benilde got the ball back from a loose ball, and didn't they need it?
So comments there from Bill Anderson. Joining me also is the Balmain captain Wayne Pearce, and gee, they had to weather some pressure. Benilde High in the opening minutes.
It was a bad way to get off to a start in the game, that one, David, but to their credit, they hung out there. They come up with a loose ball, and they're back in this game. But the thing that they've got to do really is to, particularly in this first half, is kick downtown and chase with the ball. Both teams have got a fair bit of match play under their belts. They've all played at least 3 matches in this competition, and I really think that they should be starting to put a bit of teamwork together.
Well, there must have been a clash of heads between the two number 11s. Shaheen, the man receiving attention on the ground already. Peter Donchevsky has gone to the touchline for attention, and he's been immediately replaced by the number 16, Robert Bullock.
I'm just wondering, Dave, if at this level of football, and I'm sure that it will apply, it's a game being controlled by the New South Wales Rugby League, that maybe the head-bin rule applies and that player may be able to come back.
Well, again, another knock-on by the Benilde side. Fundamental errors in the opening minutes of this Commonwealth Bank Cup group final between Benilde High and James Cook. McKillop to feed the scrum. A scrum win against the feed, taken away this time by Craig Solberg, but the referee, Cole Jones, not happy with the feed. The scrum is camped 18 metres out from the Benilde line. McKillop out to New. Tall Fijian 5'8". Very interesting player, in fact, Mark New. That's the prop forward, Spiro Dukas. 10 metres out from the line, they work towards the grandstand side of Leichhardt Oval again. That's the second row forward, Pizzanius. McKillop again. Gee, that gap opened up, but over the top came the lock forward, Michael Dura, the brother of Bronco Dura of the St George fame and formerly of South Sydney. Heron stood in the tackle. Good solid defence that time by Paul Thompson. New. There's the kick charge down. And finally regained by Craig Solberg, the young player from the Western Suburbs SG ball side. Roger Shaheen.
Benilde have got to gather themselves here and ensure that they play out their 6 tackles, hold it for 5, and then put a good long kick downfield with a very strong chase, because the whole game so far has been played in their quarter, and that's not the area you win football games from.
Well, there's the kick charge down inside the 22. The attempted clearance kick that time from Jamie Graham, the second row forward. And play will come back for the scrum, again camped inside Benilde's 22, and that's where all the games so far, Wayne Pearce, has been played.
unfortunately for Benilde, it has been played down there, and they've come up with the ball there against the head, which is fortunate for them.
That's K-Roos running from dummy half. Looks a determined player on the right wing for the Benilde side. Slipping into dummy half is Fatty Gannon. That's Ray Dewey.
That's a good, strong run. And a little bit more of that required.
Gannon again. Ran from dummy half, put the head down and tried to burrow through his opposite number, Dallas Chapman. But he was wrapped up centre field midway between the half and the 22. Kajura got the pass away for Solberg. Here's a break for Benilde. The fullback, Darren Hart, hit the line.
That was very well read by Benilde. The wingers for James Cook were both standing deep waiting for the kick, so they elected to play the short blind side and got good yardage out of it.
Well, peeling away that time was Ray Dewey with the tactical kick for touch and takes play up inside. James Cook highs into the ground for the very first time in this group final. A scrum feed to be worked by Greg McKillop, who's also a regional rugby union representative for the last couple of years. Conceding the penalty, feed across the tunnel is ruled against Dallas Chapman. The differential penalty will allow Benilde to try and launch an attack now from up towards that 22-yard line. Good solid kick that time from Jamie Graham, takes play to about 5 metres short of the 22. So let's see what Benilde can come up with in attack. Their coach, John Raftery, hasn't been impressed with their performances in the matches leading up to their appearance in this group final tonight. Although looking on paper, they've had victories over Sir Joseph Banks 26-10, Cogra Morris 20-0 and Pendle Hill 22-4. So they've obviously got ability to score points, and they need them early in this first half. Graham got the pass away to K-Roos. Popped the pass back in for Meinrath, the prop forward. But the ruling from the referee, Cole Jones, is the knock-on. 5 metres out from James Cook line.
I thought Benilde exploited that blind side very well. They set it up nicely, moving play towards the centre, brought it back, had their number 9, the second rower, hitting down that side. He stood in a tackle, got a pass away, the try was on.
Good quick heel that time from Chapman. Oh, but that's good defence by Benilde. They've caught McKillop inside his own in-goal. So that's solid and determined defence by Benilde, and play will be restarted with the goal line dropout. Young Greg McKillop really couldn't get the ball outside that end zone area, so there's the dropout. Graham will claim it 10 metres out from the 22. High knee action, but is put to the ground very, very quickly by the James Cook defence. Well, penalty. A possibility for Benilde High to draw first blood in this match. And no doubt the little winger, Brian Ward, will come across to attempt the two-pointer.
Well, all of the play had been in Benilde's quarter, and at the first opportunity they had to get down into James Cook quarter, they've been able to get an opportunity to register points, and I'm sure that this would be a great confidence booster for them. They had their backs to the wall in the opening minutes of the game, but now they've got a chance to restart again.
So the young Canterbury Harold Matthews Cup representative of previous years, the goal kicker in the side, Brian Ward, playing on the left wing for Benilde High tonight. And what a confidence boost this will be to the Benilde side against their more fancied rivals tonight, James Cook, if he can steer this between the two uprights. It's from 18 metres out in front of the posts. He struck it well. The touchdown flags put them in the air. And the scoreline at Leichhardt Oval sees Benilde High in the lead in this group final by 2 points to 0. For Wayne Pearce, as we come back to the action, James Cook did all the attacking in the opening few minutes of this game, and no doubt the Benilde High coach John Raftery would breathe a sigh of relief to see the first 2 points posted.
Exactly, David, and it's a very strange game, rugby league, at times. From the kick-off, Benilde under all sorts of pressure, almost crumbled under that pressure and had a try scored against them. No sooner had they received the ball and they were up in the opposition territory and almost scored a try against James Cook. That's the nature of the game. But the thing that's impressed me so far in this game about Benilde, they've been there scrummaging, and we'll see if they can continue to win ball against the head.
Well, interesting decision that time by referee Cole Jones, ruling the pass had gone forward. McKillop with the scrum feed, and as Wayne predicted.
Yeah, that's another good push by Benilde, as Wayne Pearce suggested. And I can't help but make the comment that the number 11 for James Cook, Peter Donkevsky, went off the field with that head injury, and I'm sure they're missing him for his good no-nonsense scrummaging.
Well, as we mentioned, Robert Billick is the man that replaced Donchevsky. He looked a pretty likely lad too, Bill. A big, strong prop forward, and a clash of heads early in that first half.
Yes, he's going to be a big loss to James Cook.
So Fatty Gannon, the man with the tap restart, through the dummy to Shaheen. That's the second row forward. Dewey takes play over the halfway line in James Cook end of the ground. Gannon again works it on the open to the blind side. That's a beautiful pass for Kay Roos. He's trying to work the touchline, but finally driven over this grandstand line by Evan Sava, the left winger for James Cook. I think their confidence has really been boosted by that two-pointer, Bill.
Yes, and it's obvious that the Benilde side feels that there are opportunities to attack down this blind side of James Cook, because every chance they've had, that's where they've hit.
Again, a good drive by the Benilde pack. It's a scrum win. McKillop darting away from the back of the scrum, but he's claimed by Dura and wrestled to the ground on the 22. That's the fullback, Jason Evans. Good run by the James Cook fullback, but a two-man tackle headed by Dura puts him on the ground. Chapman again, McKillop. But again, that Benilde defence very, very solid to put David McDonald on the ground. Well, this time they caught little over ankle inside 5, and so the penalty goes to James Cook High. So the man that will look for touch on that far side is the vice-captain of the side, also a member of this St George SG ball side, but not finding touch.
That's a mistake they could have done without James Cook. I got the feeling that Benilde are just starting to get their confidence and starting to get on top in this game, and you can't afford in a very evenly matched such as this to make those sorts of errors.
O'Brien Ward driven back in that tackle after the good run earlier by Darren Hart. Gannon got the pass away. It's out to Doohy, the second row forward. He tried to straighten the attack up.
And they're looking down this blind side again, David.
That's where they want to attack. There they go again through the halfback Solberg. That's Shaheen trying to unload the one-handed pass, but a three-man tackle stops his progress. Gannon again slips into dummy half, and it goes out through Solberg. Stepping run that time by John Wilson. 10 metres short of halfway on the final tackle. Look for Graham, but in fact it'll be Solberg that will look for touch. Will the bounce favour? Oh, that's well-angled kick. And the mistake on that far side by Alain Noisier allows the ball to go into touch, but it was an awkward bounce, Bill Anderson.
Yes, it put the winger under all sorts of pressure. He was undecided whether he should let the ball find touch and the consequent scrum be set, but I think what would have been going through his mind was the fact they'd been pushed all over the park in the scrum, so he had to try and come up with the ball.
Wilson now. Ward came in from the blind wing, but the James Cook defence read that play well. Paddy Gannon goes now into dummy half again, feeding Solberg out to Wilson. Oh, that's a tremendous tackle by Landers. Well, he's another player that comes from good stock, Bill Anderson. The name of Landers very famous around the eastern suburbs and Penrith area of years gone by.
What a great goal-kicking winger Bob Landers was for both of those clubs.
Well, as you mentioned, the head rule must apply because Donchevsky has now come back onto the field after that head gash, and we'll see what improvement he makes to this scrum. They'll track down 10 metres out from the 22. And once again, the scrum win against the head. And Solberg is immediately claimed in the tackle. Gannon at dummy half for Shaheen. Gee, there's some solid hits going in there from this James Cook side. Solberg, Jura, and again, copybook tackle from Chapman. Now they'll exploit this blind side again. No, they won't. They go the open through Wilson. Out to the centre three-quarter Kerry. But again, that three-man tackle. Donchevsky obviously showing no ill effects from that head injury, figuring prominently in that tackle. Paul Thompson, a stepping run by the Benilde centre. 5 metres short of the 22 on the final tackle. They work the blind again. And that ball will go dead in goal. And play, in fact, will come back to the 22. Well, that man in picture we just saw, Bill Anderson, Alain Noisier, you saw him win a schoolboy sprint.
Yes, I've seen Alain win a combined high school sprint championship, and believe me, if he gets the ball in his hands with a little bit of open space, there'll be no one in football at a schoolboy level that'll catch him.
Well, he was also a member of the New South Wales under-15 combined high school side in 1985, and has also had representative honours bestowed on him in rugby union, so he's a pretty versatile footballer. And Billy mentioned before the game, give him a little bit of space and we could see him really exploit this Benilde defence out wide.
David, the thing I always look for at a schoolboy level is the organisation of the teams in both attack and defence, and both of these sides have got that. They're obviously particularly well-coached teams.
With Solberg, a darting run to the 22. Once again, young Gannon goes into dummy half. Goes the blind side and exploited the weakness. Kayru's beautiful step. What a superb try by Benilde. Tremendous try by Richard Kayru. It's 6 points to 0.
Excellent rugby league try. We can see here the number 12, which has gained and skipped out of dummy half, picked up Kayru's his winger. He showed a little bit of an in and away, and that was enough to stand the fullback up. He got in goal, didn't plant the ball, went round to improve his position, and that's as good a try as you'll ever see.
Exactly, Bill. It is a great try, and it looks as though Benilde are following Coach John Rafferty's instructions out to the letter. They've been exploiting the short blind side all day, and that little in and away by Kayru showed just how much pace he had, and just the weaknesses that are obviously evident in the James Cook blind side.
Well, the 16-year-old right winger showed the class that made him an under-15 Australian merit selection in 1986. He's all smiles here at Leichhardt Oval. He's given his side the lead by 6 points to 0. And so young Brian Ward now with the ball placed. Successful so far with his only attempted goal. He struck it very well indeed. This kick about 10 metres to the right of the right-hand upright. And what a handy lead this will be for the boys from Benilde. Probably going into this match as the underdogs. This time the ball goes across to the left-hand upright. No goal, but a handy lead indeed. It's Benilde leading this group final by 6 points to 0. Well, Wayne Pearce, often the underdog, can get up and bite and make his impact on this match, and already Benilde, after that very shaky start, would be very, very pleased indeed at this scoreline.
Exactly, David, and the underdog is even harder to contain when they get a sniff of victory, and that's exactly what they've got at this stage. James Cook making far too many errors and giving away far too many penalties, and combine that with the scrummaging talent that Benilde have, and all they have to do really is hold the ball for 4 or 5 tackles and kick for the line, but on this occasion they've dropped it.
Wayne, I've had a relationship with James Cook in the past. Brian Smith, the present Illawarra coach, was a sportsmaster there, and I got to know Brian fairly well, and believe me, that the try against them will only make James Cook try harder. They're a school with a lot of spirit.
The Landers has lost the ball centre field, and the referee, Cole Jones, blows the whistle and brings play back to the 22.
You can see here the player Landers was almost put into the hole, but he was confronted by defence. I think he might have just taken his eye off the ball, and that caused the fumble.
Well, again, the referee not happy with the feed as young Craig Salzberg, a member of the Western Suburbs SG ball side.
I've just got the feeling that this James Cook scrum is what's going to present them with problems. They don't look quite set to me at any stage.
Well, as they say that, Billy, they've won one against the feed. And McKillop skirted wide on that open side. New goes into dummy half. Gave it away to Williams.
Good hit.
There's some solid whacks going in out there in defence. Dallas Chapman now at dummy half. Long pass for New. He's got a great kicking game. 6 more tackles to go. The ball's been claimed by McKillop. Chapman again, beat one tackle, but couldn't beat the tackle of Jamie Graham. Now Williams, that pass looked forward. The referee has ruled on the knock-on. And we'll see the scrum go down. Right on the 22 centre field. It's 6 points to 0 with Benilde in the lead.
Is James Cook not just getting it quite right at the moment? They're looking a little bit rusty. I think that their confidence has been sapped somewhat, and they're not getting their timing right at all.
Scrum win again. McKillop skirting across that 22-yard line. Very important that they strike back James Cook, because I think they would have thought that they may have had total control of this match on performances so far in the lead up to this group final. Some good defence. Here's the break by Landers. He's got the support on the outside, well on his own. Strength galore and over for the try. Just what the doctor ordered. Kurt Landers comes up with the 4-pointer.
Well, this try looked as if Landers could have offloaded at any stage, but he realised he had both the strength and the pace to do it all on his own. He got the ball here. The player, the number 7, was held in a tackle, got the ball onto Landers. Now you can see he's winging on the outside, calling for the ball, but he was able to beat the first tackle with a little bit of an in and away, and then beat the fullback in exactly the same circumstances.
And it's quite evident tonight that both sets of coaches are using different styles of tactics. James Cook are prepared to push the ball in a rat pattern in attack, and here it certainly paid off. Kurt Landers earlier on in the night showed his strength in defence with some bone-crushing tackles, and here he shows his strength in attack where he pushes through 2 or 3 tackles and over in the corner.
Well, that was like turning back the clock. The son of one of the great Sydney first-grade footballers of the past, Bobby Landers, and in fact have been using Bobby's gym in preparation for this match. And Landers' centre three-quarter partner Ian Heron with the attempted conversion. That is a gem of a kick. A tremendous conversion. It's all tied up at Leichhardt Oval. 6 points all. We've got a ball game on our hands. Well, this is worth having a look at again. You won't see any better, Bill Anderson.
Now, that's a tremendous goal kick. He fired it just out to the right-hand upright. A little bit of breeze here at Leichhardt Oval, brought it back in. That was perfectly positioned. But I think we should mention at this stage, Dave, that since the number 11, Peter Donkevski for James Cook's come back onto the field, they've won 2 scrums against the head, so that was obviously their problem.
Oh, gee, that's a good tackle by Thompson. Also in there was the prop forward Mainrath. Chapman. And once again we see James Cook inspired by that. First of all, the try Wayne Pearce, but I'm sure that touch line conversion by Ian Heron would lift them no end.
Oh, you're not wrong there, David, and at Balmain we certainly know the value of having a good kicker in Ross Conlon, and it looks as though James Cook have got a similar situation on their side, and it lifts a team no end when they're in a situation such as the scoreline was suggesting.
Darren Hart, far too much pace for the prop forward Domchevsky, and he takes play inside James Cook's end of the ground. Shaheen broke out of one tackle. Gannon goes into dummy half for Solberg. Jamie Graham. Oh, loss of possession, dived on by John Domchevsky, and so James Cook back in possession of the ball. Williams running square, straightened up and came straight to Shaheen. Evan Savva now a dummy half. He elects to go on his own. Shaheen came over the top again. Underneath went Jamie Graham. 6 all the scoreline in this group final at Leichhardt Oval. It's been a great match so far. Heron. Big high knee action, the centre three-quarter for James Cook. Fullback Jason Evans now a dummy half. They'll work towards that far side again. New with that kicking game. Turning the defence around of Benilde. Coming across is the fullback Darren Hart, but that ball will beat him into touch. And I'd say Bill Anderson a fair bit of that rugby union experience, because Mark New is the brother of the Fijian David New on the St George rugby side.
That's right, and David, of course, is in the Wallaby squad at the moment with Alan Jones. But that was a tremendous kick by David New. It was one that was fired towards the touchline. The fullback was in a touchy situation, whether to go for it or not, decided not to, and just as well. Now, Benilde have come up with the ball from that scrum, and they've got a lot of work to do now to work the ball out of this quarter area.
So Benilde with the ball inside their 22. Domchevsky coming in with a big hit on that tackle. New is also in there earning his money in defence for James Cook. Dura to his feet. It's virtually the clone of brother Bronco, Bill.
Yes, he is. Got all of the skills of Bronco's got. Good tackling, good organisation and a kicking game.
There's Jason Evans fielding the ball inside his 22 for James Cook high. And the man that scored that brilliant try, Richard Carew, showing that he can also effect a pretty solid hit in defence. Landers. Dura wrapping him up in the tackle with Shaheen. Chapman a dummy half. Long pass for New. Thought about the kick, gave it to his fullback Jason Evans, but he knocked the ball on.
Dave, I think this next 6 minutes is possibly going to be the most crucial part of the whole game. You find that schoolboys start to tire at this stage of the match, but even at a professional level, you find that this is the important part of the game, that the team that can score in this 5 or 6 minutes before half-time, most of the times wins the game.
Well, Heron wrapped up in the tackle. And they'll look a little disorganised in defence at the moment, and that's been evident by that break up this blind side by the prop forward, Spiro Dukas. He makes another valuable 5 or 10 metres. Over the top came Ian Kerry in defence. New through the dummy. Landers driven to the ground by Shaheen in a great tackle. New got it away this time with the second row forward McDonald. Play inside the 22. Possession to Benilde.
It's been a fluctuating game, hasn't it? The first 10 minutes it was all James Cook, and then Benilde struck back and has looked as if they had the game in hand. But these last few minutes leading up to half-time, James Cook have struck back well, and they've got the upper hand at this point.
Well, Billy, as you know, this is my first year calling the Commonwealth Bank Cup football, and we've been entertained by some marvellous games, both here at Leichhardt Oval and in the country. And I'm sure that our sponsors, the Commonwealth Bank, when they look at some of the talent that they're putting on show on television around New South Wales and Queensland, that they're getting their money's worth with tremendous young talent that we've seen.
Well, I think that the whole sporting public, David, is very appreciative of the Commonwealth Bank and the work they do for all sports, particularly rugby league. They're great supporters of all schoolboy rugby league.
Jason Evans, I'm on the way over to the Benilde Cup final next week, and I have a special on rugby league in Australia for the BBC, and we made mention of the fact that 6 of the 1986 Kangaroos learnt their footballing apprenticeships in the Commonwealth Bank Cup. We just wonder how many of the future internationals that we may see that may be going around in 87 from the Commonwealth Bank Cup.
There might be one here tonight.
Donchevsky. Well, that's a clever play, a set play by the James Cook side. The man that tried to bust through was Pizzanius. Chapman a dummy half. Out to New. Landers taken heavily in the tackle out wide, and that was the little man Ian Kerry that was around the legs. Ian Heron now. James Cook in possession. Out through McKillop, the halfback. New. Busting out wide was McDonald. Oh, and the ball's been lost again by the fullback Jason Evans, who hit the line.
But that was a good effort by the number 9. No, McDonald wasn't. He was held in a tackle. You'll see it here. And as he was falling, just got his hands free and popped up a pass to the supports, and the ball was unfortunately knocked on.
Well, as I mentioned, this is a good final, but the ultimate winner of this year's overall final will receive $5,000 worth of electrical equipment from Power Consumer Products, with another $3,000 worth of product going to the runner-up. Talking about runner-up, here's a great run upfield. But the defence was there of Heron.
He made the right decision then. He was obviously looking to get a pass away, but his supports were shut out, and he did the right thing by electing to take the tackle.
Here's Shaheen. K-Roos couldn't handle it, and Williams driven over the touchline. Well, the great run by young John Wilson before. He's limping in back play, but didn't he set up this final play here for K-Roos? Oh, he had a little bit of a look there too, Billy.
Yes, he did, but a working play to the side of K-Roos. Benilde. He's a player with plenty of pace, and if given opportunities, I'm sure he can finish things off.
Well, here's a bust upfield with support. Support inside of Chapman. Chapman got back inside the prop forward. Meinrad, and that's a very vital try, so close to half-time. And it came up through the vice-captain of the James Cook side, Dallas Chapman.
Well, Chapman did it all on his own here, really. The initial split was made by the dummy half, and that's an indication of poor marker defence. But we can see here what a great effort by a hooker to back up on the inside. Now, there was a player down injured for Benilde High. I think it was Meinrad. He was getting attention. He realised that they were in desperate straits, got to his feet to go across and try and make the tackle, but he was beaten one-on-one by the hooker.
Yes, Billy, right on half-time, you pinpointed the problem there. A lot of teams lack their drop concentration just on half-time. Exactly what happened here. Chapman did well in support. He sidestepped the guy who got up from being injured there. He was lucky not to be tackled, actually, and crushed over just right on half-time.
Well, yes, full credit to young Evan Savard too, Bill. A perfectly timed pass inside to his hooker.
Yes, it was. And again, it's worth noting that since the prop forward, Donchevsky's come back on the field, James Cook have won 4 of the last 5 scrums against the head, and obviously in a tight game, if you're getting a surfeit of possession like that, well, you can just put too much pressure on.
Well, Ian Heron set the precedent earlier with a marvellous kick from touch. A fair bit of pressure on him to repeat the effort here, and that will give James Cook a very, very handy lead going in towards half-time. Heron, can he make it 2 from 2? Absolutely no doubt. Straight over the black dot. Ian Heron kicks his second from as many attempts, and his side lead by 12 points to 6. I'll tell you what, Wayne Pearce, if anything ever happens to Ross Conlon, I know where you can look to.
Yeah, not wrong there, David. I think he's built in the same mould. He's a good attacking player, good ball player, and he's got a good boot.
So Benilde, after enjoying that 6-point lead early in the first half, now have their backs to the wall. They trail by 12 points to 6, and we're only a few seconds short of half-time. It'll be Brian Ward with the restart of play. The ball bouncing back towards the end goal, taken by Williams. He takes play outside the 22. The try scorer, Chapman. David McDonald wrapped up just outside his 22. Chapman looking for the opening.
I think James Cook have realised that the yards to be made against Benilde aren't so much out wide, but there are yards up the middle, running from dummy half and one off the ruck, and then you can spread the ball.
New with a little kick through. K-Roos. What will his tactics be right at half-time? Tries to beat Saber on the outside, but he's pushed into touch. And that's the last play of the first half here in this group final. We look at the scoreline, and James Cook holding that 6-point advantage by 12 points to 6, but I can assure you plenty of great action coming up in the second half as we take a break in the Commonwealth Bank Cup for 1987. And after a seesawing first half where James Cook grabbed the initiative just before half-time with that great try by Chapman, the hooker, they lead by 12 points to 6 in this match as the second half gets underway with the kick-off by young Brian Ward. And straight away taking upfield is Jim Pisanius for James Cook. Noisia has seen very little of the ball in the first half of this match. Chapman threw the dummy to John Chesky, and Shaheen was the man that went over the top for Benilde. Well, the first penalty of the second half goes against Benilde for up inside the 5 metres. And I think that they would have taken a sudden jolt with that try by Chapman just before half-time. Bill, we often say that the final 10 minutes of that first half always crucial.
Yes, it is. I think very, very much backs to the wall now for Benilde. I thought they were getting on top of James Cook at one point of the first half, but the last few minutes just before half-time indicated to me that James Cook had got their game in order, and I think they can get away with this game, but I certainly wouldn't be writing Benilde off.
Well, Shaheen has not given up. That was a great tackle, front-on tackle. Here's Donchevsky charging upfield. But once again, Shaheen across, copybook stuff by the Benilde front row forward.
Very good front-on tackle, that one. His technique was perfect.
Little halfback going low was Craig Solberg. Chapman again, filling that dummy half roll. Taking it upfield was the prop forward Spiro Dukas. Now they'll swing towards the grandstand side here at Leichhardt Oval. Little kick over the top, that time by McKillop. It's rolling end on end. Going back is K-Roos in defence for Benilde. He's got a ton of pace. He showed that when he scored the opening try of this particular group final. And he's wrapped up in centre field about 12 metres out from his own goal line. So they're working it out from that danger area. Solberg was the man that made the run. Here's Shaheen. Well, Wayne Pearce, this young prop forward, Roger Shaheen, he's 18 years of age. He's shown a lot of promise out there today, the big dark-headed fellow in 11 for Benilde.
Yes, David, in my opinion, he's the player, been the player of the match so far. He's looked for work, hasn't shirked any effort at all, and he's, I think he's been immaculate in defence, and not only that, but he's taken the ball up wherever possible in attack.
Well, Noisia claimed in the tackle, just a metre short of halfway. Fullback Jason Evans takes it up, in fact, to the halfway line as his hooker Chapman slits into dummy half. It goes out again through McKillop. Through the dummy. Got around his man on the outside. The man that he beat was Dewey, the second row forward for Benilde, and the little man takes play up towards the 10-metre line at Benilde's end of the ground. Chapman again working it quickly. New through the pass back in field, picked up by Williams.
Well, it looked good, but it didn't get much of a result.
James Cook on the attack now. Spiro Dukas unloaded the pass, but the referee's ruled it forward.
Well, now we'll see if at half-time the coach for Benilde, John Raftery's been able to address his scrummaging problem. I thought that was probably the one area that James Cook really worked on during that first half and improved, and it's the area that Benilde needed to fix up.
So the young fullback, Darren Hart, trying to eject himself into the line and make a break on this blind side. Out through Kerry through the halfback Solberg. Dewey is the man wrapped up in the tackle. He's quickly to his feet. Gannon works the blind side again. That's where they've tried to exploit James Cook. This time the second row forward, Jamie Graham, was the man that linked up on the blind side. Wilson got the pass away to Kerry. He tried to break them out wide. Wilson this time goes to dummy half. Paul Thompson takes play over the halfway line. Benilde trail by 12-6. Second half action of the Commonwealth Bank Cup Group Final. Benilde and James Cook. Evan Sava, who was stood up brilliantly, Bill Anderson, for the first try by young Kay Roos.
Yes, I think one of the most noticeable features of tonight's game is the pace that both sides have out wide. They've got players that can make breaks one-on-one, and that's exciting football.
Well, Sava. Down he went. Injured player. You're watching the group final from Leichhardt Oval, where James Cook hold a 6-point advantage by 12 points to 6. Well, Wayne Pearce, a lot of interest tonight in the main match coming up. Of course, the clash against Port Moresby, and Balmain on top of the premiership and going in without 6 of their regular first graders. Confidence obviously still high, sky high after the win against North Sydney at the weekend.
Yes, confidence is high, David. We've had a few injuries during the week, and in fact there are 6 players out for this match, but I really think we've got good backups and good depth this year, and that's something which we really need to have coming into the representative season, because we're likely to lose quite a few players in this representative season, and a lot of those players that we used as backups are on show tonight.
Probably all you need, Wayne, is a good coach, is it?
I think we're right there.
Billy Anderson, of course, my co-commentator tonight, the man that's guided the destiny of Balmain in '87 to be on top of the Winfield Cup. But it's back to the action at Balmain's home ground, Leichhardt Oval, the Commonwealth Bank Cup, with James Cook in possession and leading by 12 points to 6. And another great bust out wide by Landers. Step beautifully off the right foot. Support inside of Heron. But a great tackle by Darren Hart.
Read that very well, Hart. Came in, made a ball and all tackle. It was the ball that had to be stopped because there were supports, and he did exactly that.
Here's Noisier. Alan Noisier, the right winger for James Cook. Now they move again. McKillop hoisting it high in the air. This will test Kay Roos. He might have the ability to beat the man on the outside. He's beaten one, but he came to Saville and also the fullback Trace Davis. Took the tackle on that far side. So Benilde camped inside their 22. There's Shaheen charging upfield again, and even 3 players can't put him on the ground. Tactics with the kick. Jamie Graham stepped away from one tackle well, but that's good defence and good pressure by James Cook. Judge in. Well, it's not often we see this in Commonwealth Bank Cup football, but the player being called out, Bill Anderson, Kazanius. Let's see what happened. Oh, there's one went in too.
Yeah, he just came over the top. The player was effectively held in the tackle, and he decided he was going to finish him off, and all players that do the wrong things get punished, and here he's going to give away a penalty and another 6 tackles to the opposition.
Well, Wayne Pearce, it was just when they were pressuring the Benilde side inside their 22 as well.
Yeah, they've really got to try and sustain some of that pressure. James Cook have been in attacking situations, and they've either spilt the ball or given away penalties, and that's exactly what they did there, give away another penalty. Well,
Donchevsky has just left the field again. He was injured in the first half with a rather nasty head gash. Came back onto the field after 10 minutes, but obviously, Bill, it's taken its toll.
Yes, he's starting to feel the effects now, but here we can see the player number 8 going on is Basir Khalil, and I'm sure he's a very good player. His coach has got a good lock on him.
Well, Khalil is a new student of James Cook, but he's topped the tackle count on each of the matches so far against Enmore, Eastwood and Lewisham.
Well, it's handy to be able to put a player on when you're leading by 12 points to 6 that's a noted defender.
Well, he earned the wrath of Coach Steve Quinn. Steve told me before the match that Basir Khalil failed to attend the final training session, Bill, and being a coach, you know what that means.
Yes, the consequences are you don't start.
But he's come out at a very important part of this game, with his side leading by 12 points to 6. And this man's caused a lot of havoc out wide. That's a beautiful pass, but Kay Roos couldn't hang on to it. And it's James Cook that come back in possession of the ball through Sava. Well towed through that time by Dewey. And James Cook back in possession through the replacement forward, Khalil. And a penalty once again. Benilde caught, I think, Bill, for the third or fourth time inside the 5.
Yes, they were caught inside the 5 metres, just getting a little bit over-anxious, realising they've got to get the ball back, they've got to get up and tackle hard and force an error, and over-anxiety has caused a penalty. That's not going to go out. That's a bad error.
It's the second time we've seen that by James Cook in this match so far, and it gives immediate possession to the Benilde side with a set of 6. Shaheen stepped off that left foot.
Just like to see Shaheen get a little bit deeper when he's coming onto the ball. I think he's a good, strong player and he can break a tackle, but if he got deeper, he'd find that his added momentum would make him an even more difficult proposition.
Just like we saw Dura run onto the ball then. Switch of play. Dewey over halfway, unloaded the pass to Dura. Oh, and again Kairou's losing the ball in open space. And again we'll see the scrum go down. So the scoreline here at Leichhardt Oval, James Cook in the lead by 12-6. So as we come back to the action at Leichhardt Oval, scrum feed, scrum win to James Cook. McKillop was the man that ran from the back of the scrum. Centre field taken in the tackle, about 3 or 4 metres short of halfway. Heron out to Landers. Geez, impressed me this fellow when he's been given space. And full marks. Good cover defence that time. Once again by Shaheen. It's great to see a prop forward back there like that covering. But Landers, Kurt Landers with a great turn of speed. Chapman stepping run by the young hooker. Head down and takes play towards the 22. Spiro Dukas is the man that goes to dummy half. Cahill wasn't expecting it. Final tackle. Watch for the little halfback McKillop. Will we see the kick? No, he's elected to go. New with the attempted drop goal. Touched in flight and finally tidied up by Solberg. Benilde inside their own 22, trying to work it out. That's Thompson. Well, we had the Kairou's, the man on the outside. Couldn't put him through the gap. Bowie. Wrapped up by the second row forward, Pizzanius.
Even though there are still 20 minutes to go in the game, it's worth us mentioning that should Benilde be able to score and convert and make the score 12-all, and if that was the final score, at the moment they'd win the match because that'd make it 2 tries each and they're leading on penalty. So now that's an important statistic for them to be conscious of.
And of course, if those penalties are equal, Bill, the team that scored first, they also bob up on that regard.
Right.
So James Cook will be trying to put that issue right out of doubt at the moment because they'll be searching for another 4-pointer here as they do the wraparound.
Well, maybe a 1-pointer would be enough.
Well, they tried to work for it before through the 5-8 new. Now they work towards the blind side. McKillop threw the dummy beautifully, but the defence was there through Wilson over the top that wrapped him up ball and all. Fullback Jason Evans, final tackle. Hughes positioned himself in front of the post. Long pass. Now they move it quickly, but good defence by Benilde. We'll see the turnover. But if they move it towards that blind side, they could catch James Cook napping. Shaheen saw that opportunity. Takes tackle number 1. Gannon out to Kairou's, a little kick and chase, but cannot get the bounce. Well, the idea was okay, Billy.
Yeah, well, maybe it was. I don't think that Benilde have had enough possession in this half to be forfeiting it so early in the tackle count.
Now they move it again. McKillop, the wraparound with his hooker. Chapman. Good strong run by the prop forward. Dukas found Landers, but I think they know they've got to contain him. And it took young Brian Ward to come in from the wing to effect the tackle. Mark New unloaded the pass from the fullback Evans. Wrestled to the ground 6 metres short of the line.
In all sorts of trouble here, Benilde. I think James Cook's just had too much ball for them.
Mark New, the pass out to Sava. Hurdles one man, and he's a metre short of the line in the final tackle. Will they work towards that blind side? They work the open. An attempted drop goal. It's not accurate enough. It's not high enough. In fact, it goes dead in goal. And play will come back to the quarter line for the restart of play. A touch charge in to report the 2 number 17s coming onto the field. For James Cook, we see Ian Heron leaving. His replacement is Jim Papagiorgio. And number 17, Fernand Hard, coming on for Benilde. Well, that's a vital loss, Wayne Pearce, because we see Ian Heron, a very talented goal kicker. He's kicked 2 from 2, and if this game becomes a tight one in the end, we just wonder how much they'll miss his goal kicking.
Yes, exactly, David. He's kept them in the match. Well, they're well in front now, but early on he gave them that kick from the sideline, which gave them a lot of confidence. But I think it's full marks to Benilde at this stage. They've really been scrambling in defence. They've done themselves wonders, really, to keep James Cook out, because James Cook, for 12 lots of tackles, had pressure on their line, and they kept them out, and at this stage they're up in the James Cook half.
Well, interesting decision there. Player caught, penalised for being in an offside position, Kay Roos. And the penalty, which will relieve a little bit of pressure on this James Cook side. Bill Anderson.
Yes, James Cook have had plenty of ball, and as Wayne suggested, Benilde have done very well to keep them out. But if they keep getting penalties and they keep getting the ball from set scrums, well, I think it's just a matter of time. Benilde, I feel, have sometimes kicked the ball too early on the tackle count, or they've made mistakes early in the tackle count. They've got to start and play out their 6 tackles if they're going to get back into this one.
Well, there's Papa Giorgio immediately injecting himself into the play, but he was wrapped up beautifully by Dura. That's new. Bob Ford Dukas wrapped up on the 10-metre line outside the 22. Mark New, beautiful flick pass. Clever play by the Fijian 5'8". McKillop. Gee, there's some determination in attack at the moment in this James Cook side. They really want to register more points. I think they'll settle for the 1 if they can do it. But a 4-pointer would be an absolute added bonus at the moment for James Cook.
It's good to see young Mark New varying his game. Sometimes he unloads the ball deep from the defensive line, and other times he does it right on the line.
Well, Dallas Chapman trying to emulate the feats of Benny Elias. Little drop goal, similarly to Benny put 2 over last week, but on this occasion, Chapman not successful. So that's 3 players, McKillop, Mark New and Dallas Chapman, all trying to knock that 1-pointer over the
Benny kicks them a bit straighter, but they don't look as good in the air.
Benny, of course, one of the players to emerge out of the Commonwealth Bank Cup. Wayne Pearce, of years gone by, we mentioned earlier that players like Langmack and Sterling and Sirinen, Greg Alexander, Benny Elias, players that have...
Scotty Gale, of course.
Scotty Gale's another one that have emerged out of this football, and what a great breeding ground it is.
It has been a great breeding ground, David, and it's also been a great ground for talent scouts. So it's almost a clear break made there by Benilde, but as I said, it's been a great area for talent scouts as well. A lot of players have been poached from this competition into grade ranks, and I think that's really good for Sydney League.
Well, Wayne mentioned the talent scouts, and no doubt they look out for great talented players. And this year's player of the series will receive the full sportsman's playing and training kit by courtesy of Adidas. And the wardrobe of sporting apparel includes everything the young footballer would need, ranging from playing gear through to leisure wear. Steve Rickson and Tony Steele, the 2 former great cricketers, the men responsible from Adidas for that. And I know, Wayne Pearce, you fully endorse the Adidas gear.
The 3 stripes signal excellence, David.
Not a bad rap for the product from Wayne Pearce on the touchline tonight here at Leichhardt Oval. 12 points to 6. Benilde trying to get back into this ball game. Shaheen charging upfield. Takes play to a metre short of the 22.
This is basically the first time that James Cook have been under any pressure in this section of the game, and let's see how their defence can hold up. They've done all of the attacking. I would have thought that Benilde would be very tired, but they've come back with vengeance.
Here's Dura, takes play just about 11 metres short of the line. This will test the James Cook defence. Solberg. Taken by Dukas in the tackle. Gannon goes to dummy half. Wilson the kick and chase. The ball held up. And that's good chasing by young Wilson.
And Shaheen, the prop forward, he's all over the paddock at the moment, doing plenty of work for his side.
And here it comes again in replay, and that really put pressure. The bounce didn't favour James Cook, but look at the pressure, firstly from Wilson, and then the prop forward Shaheen wrapping up Ashley Williams. And we'll see play come back to the goal line for the restart of play. Well, the work rate of Roger Shaheen has really, really impressed me in this match, whether it be an attack or defence or just organising this side. But I do agree with Bill Anderson. I'd like to see him just run onto the ball a little bit more from set play. Oh, that's a costly error by Ferno Hard, and that's given the ball straight back to James Cook High, something Wayne Pearce that Coach John Raftery would not have wanted to happen.
Exactly, David. Benilde had the opportunity there to establish some pressure on James Cook. It's been probably only on one other occasion that they've been up in the James Cook half in this second half, and really they spilt that opportunity, and now James Cook really have just got to kick the ball for 5 tackles, boot the ball down into Benilde's territory, and just tackle their hearts out.
McKillop, new, little kick and chase. Landers tried to tidy it up, but the referee was there to rule on the knock-on. So this scrum will pack down about a metre, well, in fact, a metre inside James Cook's end of the ground. They currently hold the advantage in this ball game to the tune of 12 points to 6. Wilson, kicking on the first tackle.
About that tactic.
Well,
I think they're the mistakes. They're inexperienced, those mistakes that Benilde are making now. On 2 or 3 occasions, they've kicked the ball before they've had time to set themselves and become established down in the opposition quarter. I think they've made handling errors when they've pushed passes that weren't on. They've just got to settle down and use up their 6 tackles. You score tries in football as the result of pressure, not a panic play.
well, Papa Georgia has lost the jumper.
Bit cold for that, isn't it?
I've heard about throwing the towel in, Bill, and never throwing the shirt in.
I think that's the last thing on his mind.
There's a good break upfield.
Look at the support coming.
Chapman again with the break. Beautiful pole, and he spilled it. Evan Sava with the line open.
Support was coming from everywhere then.
And Chapman was the man that made the break. And watch it, the pass. Well, there wasn't too much wrong with the pass.
I think he might have taken his eye off the ball just at the crucial time.
So Benilde breathed a sigh of relief.
It's an important scrum, this one.
Fed by Solberg. Well, it's come out James Cook's way. New. Well, the gaps are starting to open in this Benilde side. They're very exposed out wide. If James Cook can move the ball, they've got the numbers. Williams crashed to the ground in defence. New held the ball up beautifully, and Dukas goes over for a tremendous James Cook try, which could well, in fact, seal this ball game.
Yes, I think that is going to be the try that's going to seal the game. It was really just a matter of time. Benilde putting under all sorts of pressure. We can see here, New took the ball right to the defensive line. He committed them to come in and make the tackle, slipped the ball to Dukas, and he was able to go over unchallenged.
Well, this try started with that scrum, really. The ball came out the Benilde side of the scrum, and they failed to dive on the ball. And he had James Cook, that from there, took one ruck in, pushed it out wide, and Spiro Dukas goes in right adjacent to the posts.
And he's all smiles, because I think he realises that in fact, could be the ball game.
It shows you the value of good scrummaging. The 3 tries for James Cook have all come from scrum wins against the head.
And Evan Sava adds the extra points. So the scoreline here at Leichhardt Oval, 18 points to 6 in this group final, with James Cook holding that 12-point lead. Well, the pressure finally told on Benilde. I thought the holes were opening up Wayne Pearce, and you can't afford it against a side that's got obvious talent out wide, and that was a superb pass by Mark New, the Fijian 5'8". He showed all the skills tonight as well.
He's had a good game, David, but I think that the sheer amount of tackling that Benilde have had to do has taken its toll. They look a tired bunch at the moment, and that is basically due to the penalties and the drop ball that they've given away.
And Billy, of course, they've put that extra pressure on themselves with unusual tactics, shall I say, early in the tackle counts.
I think they felt that things were going against them, and they became pretty desperate. And, they tried things that weren't on. Had they come off for them, well, it could have turned the game. But the chances and the odds were against it. They didn't come off for them, and, of course, now I'd say the game slipped away. But let's not deny them of the fact that they have tackled very courageously.
So the replacement player on is Stephen Holzer, that was wearing the headgear that was reefed off as New hoists the ball high in the air. Carew spilt it again. Towed through, another chance for James Cook. And Sava goes over for the try. Evan Sava, 4th try for James Cook. It's 22 points to 6.
Try coming from a mistake here. New put the ball up in the air, over in the direction of the winger Carew. He wasn't under a great deal of pressure, but sometimes it's difficult for the boys under lights. They're not used to them. The ball was towed through here by Sava. He got the ball over in the in-goal area and dropped on it for the try.
Well, when the gates open, they sure do burst open, and Sava did well here. He scored a ball earlier on that could have led to a try. I'm sure he'll be ecstatic about being in a situation here to dive on this ball over the line. He did well. He came in from his wing, sniffed out the try, and merely fell on the ball for a great try.
And he's added the conversion. So this game certainly has changed its complexion in the last couple of minutes in the second half. James Cook in the lead by 24 points to 6, and safely, I'd say, Bill Anderson on their way to a quarter-final berth of the Commonwealth Bank Cup for 1987.
Yes, it was a very nip and tuck game through the first half and into the second half, but they've got their game together now. They've got a bit of a roll on. Benilde just haven't had enough ball, and James Cook are a side that thrive on plenty of possession. They've used it to best advantage.
Well, last week, of course, we saw St Francis Xavier in action. They won that match in Newcastle by 30 points to 0 against Erina High. That was my old school, so I had a bit to smile about. But Benilde High
could improve since you went there.
St Francis had, but Benilde High, of course, is the side that produced Graham Hughes at one stage or other, Bill Anderson.
Yes, one of the model pupils of the school on the sporting field, Graham. Teachers still talk about him.
So Ian Carey has got off the field for Benilde, and we have Marco De Angelis on the field as his replacement.
And as this game starts to loosen up, Mark New is really coming into his own. He's creating all sorts of havoc, 1 and 2 off the ruck with his ball use.
McKillop charged down by the second row forward Dewey, but it's back in possession for James Cook. Well, they can't keep Sava out of the game now. He's kicking goals, scoring tries, and running from dummy half. He took play to the halfway line. We're into about the last 5 minutes of this group final. The winner, of course, going through to the quarter-final of the Commonwealth Bank Cup. It's with the first side to qualify for the quarter-finals. Stephen Halser taken in the centre of the ground. Next week, of course, we've got another tremendous match coming up for you. We'll tell you about that in a moment as the player going back in defence is Brian Ward. That's the clash between St Gregory's Campbelltown and De La Salle Ashfield. And St Gregory's Campbelltown obviously a side for the team in action, Billy Anderson. Look at this.
Last year's winners and Greggs, and they'll be on television for the first time next week in 1987.
Well, the penalty there, obviously the referee Cole Jones had called for them to play the ball, but that was great defence by Landers. Look at this strength. Not a bad little chaser there, and Robert Billick as well. Of course, St Gregory's would remember that they received that first prize last year of $5,000 worth of electrical equipment from Pye Consumer Products. Obviously would like to get another bite of the cherry at 87. Pye, of course, and Paul Cross, their divisional manager, great supporters of junior schoolboy rugby league. Has that been touched in flight? The touch judge says no. So the tap restart from a metre inside James Cook's end of the ground for Benilde. Paddy Gannon with the tap restart. Shaheen, who really has been a dominating player, Bill, in the beaten side.
Has not stopped all night, Shaheen. He's been one of the best performers on the field.
Well, here's Benilde. Brian Ward. He looks as though he's got a ton of pace too. He stepped the man up on the outside, but finally ran out of legs. Here they go again, Thompson and Wilson with this tremendous defence, the two-man tackle of Billick and also the hooker, Ellis Chapman. Here's the kick from Thompson. Again giving possession away to James Cook.
Yes, it's unfortunate for Benilde, but they're in a no-win situation. They've got to try things that aren't on, and it just hasn't been their last 30 minutes, has it? They're trying things that really aren't going to come off for them. They're not working, and all it's doing is giving the ball back to James Cook. But they're still out there, and they're still hanging. You know, they've continued to try, despite the odds being stacked against them.
Well, Benilde opened the scoring with a penalty goal by Ward, and then a brilliant try by Kay Roos, and they looked as though they were well in this ball game. Then we saw a great try by Landers, converted magnificently from touch by Hare in the centre three-quarter. And then a very vital try by Chapman, the hooker, just before half-time, gave them a half-time lead of 12-6. But we've seen strong tries by Dukas and Sava in the second half, as James Cook have shown their dominance on this match en route to a quarter-final berth for 87. Wayne Pearce, we've spoken about the great performance in a beaten side by Roger Shaheen, but in a winning side, the players that have impressed you?
Yes, for James Cook, there's been some great performances. I think the halves have played well. Ewan McKillop, Landers in the centres, he's been a tower of strength both in attack and defence. But I think that the player that, to me, appears to have a future in the game, the big future in the game, is their hooker, Dallas Chapman. He's showed plenty of skill in attack and in defence. He certainly hasn't shirked his workload.
So those comments from Wayne Pearce, and it's great to have the Balmain and New South Wales captain aboard for the commentaries on the Commonwealth Bank Cup, as well as his great coach Billy Anderson, because I'd say it's pretty advantageous for you, Bill. It gives you a first-hand look at a bit of talent that's running around as well.
Well, Dave, I think any player in this sort of competition that performs well is certainly sought out by the first-grade coaches of all the clubs.
Solberg made a big inroads in towards that James Cook defence a moment ago. Thompson. And again, some good solid defence on Ian Kerry. This will be just reward if he goes over. Shaheen over for the try, no disallowed.
Well, it was a tremendous effort for Shaheen to get there. He was hit by defence some 8 metres out from the try line, dragged his way through. Now, he's got 4 defenders hanging onto him here, and he's... Oh, gee, I think he might have got that down.
Well, it would have been just rewards, because he really has been an outstanding player, and for my money, fair try.
Of course, we had the advantage and the luxury of the replay, didn't we? And the referee was in that position, but here we see Benilde have won a scrum against the head, and of course they only wish they could have done that earlier in the match. I think he got that one down too. Fair try, awarded by the referee. That was the hooker, Fatty Gann, and he forced his way over from dummy half.
So finally, as they open the scoring, it appears that Benilde will close the scoring as well. Fatty Gannon charging over from dummy half. And that makes it 24 points to 10.
You can see here, Gannon goes to dummy half, looks to his left-hand side, dummies to go in that area, goes in very low. The defence was probably standing a touch too high, and that enabled him to get the ball down.
Well, he gets the congratulations from his second row forward, Ray Dewey. And the man that probably will play the last part in this ball game regional final, group final, will be Brian Ward, the little winger from Benilde. Has kicked 1 from 2 so far. Not an easy kick, 6 metres in from the far touchline. It won't have the legs, it's got the accuracy, no it hasn't, it's right across the face of goal. And that's the scoreline. At Leichhardt Oval, we have James Cook High advancing to the quarter-final, the first team to advance to the quarters in 87 of the Commonwealth Bank Cup with a thoroughly deserved 24 points to 10 victory over Benilde. My thanks to Wayne Pearce for joining us on the commentary today, but after the break we'll have full-time comments from my co-commentator Bill Anderson. We'll take a break and be back in just a moment. And as we welcome you back to Leichhardt Oval, the news is that James Cook High are the first side to advance to the quarterfinals of the Commonwealth Bank Cup for 1987 with a very convincing 24 points to 10 win over Benilde High. Full-time comments, Bill Anderson.
Well, Dave, I thought they were 2 well-drilled and very classy football teams, but in the end I felt that it was the heavy toll and scrums against Benilde that allowed James Cook to get into the game. They went on with the job, but full credit to a Benilde side that never stopped trying.
James Cook strong enough to go on to semi-final berth, do you think?
I think they're a good enough side, but of course football is a strange game and it's a matter of what you do on the night, but they've got some good players and it's a well put together, a well-planned, well-coached side.
Okay, thanks very much for joining us again. I know you're a busy man. You're preparing for the Balmain match against Port Moresby, the next match coming up at Leichhardt Oval.
Yes, exactly, and I hope that's as entertaining a match.
Okay, Bill Anderson with the full-time comments. points. Just repeating, James Cook through to the quarterfinals. But next week we'll see last year's winners, St Gregory's of Campbelltown, as they take on Deal Arcel from Ashfield. We hope that you'll join us from Leichhardt Oval at the same time next week. But in the meantime, I'm David Fordham. On behalf of Bill Anderson and Graham Hughes, goodbye from Leichhardt Oval.